Hey, it's Tony here, Transformation Fitness and Wellness. Just want to, shoot this video and go through some components that I think may be important for some of you to, to take advantage of. And we're going to talk about situations where, the topic that I'm going to address is more structure, and how structure can help, because we're in uncharted territory, and a lot of people obviously fall out of routines and maybe lose the structure of what they had from a day-to-day standpoint, week-to-week standpoint. So we're going to touch base on some components of how you can incorporate the structure component, and then obviously talk through some strategies and things that may help as far as incorporating that structure back in whatever format that looks like for you. It's going to be a little bit different for every person based upon what they got going on, whether they have kids or not, whether the spouse is still working or is 100% working from home. So I'm going to go ahead and kick you through this, kind of talk through, because structure has been an important component of our lives and our business. Obviously over the past 13 years, and we use it from a standpoint of communication and keeping things moving in the right direction. So, what is structure? When you think of it or look up some type of definition, a building or other object constructed from several parts. Right? So your mind goes into a structure or a building. So when you think about that, so like a carpenter has to have, to build a foundation, they have to have, the foundation poured, they set the corners, they have to follow a certain component to get that square. So they have structure to get a building built. They follow a certain plan, and that's important. I know a lot of people, when they think of structure, they think of restriction, and structure is not necessarily restriction. Actually, it is, I think, empowerment. And when you have a plan and you know where you're going, you feel empowered. And you can minimize some of the stress components, and you can reflect and feel good about what you've done because you've had structure and you went from point A to point B that day. So I know, and some people do, they think, a structure is a enforcer of rules. And when you really kind of peel back the layers, structure is actually, it's actually empowering when you think about it. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So why is structure important? Why is structure important for your life, or in anybody's life? I know some people may not have a ton of structure in their life. Again, I will talk about what we've done and some of the experiences I've been through and Aaron has been through, and structure has been very important for us to be successful. So structure helps to stay focused and get things done, obviously, because you have a plan of attack. Lack of structure can make us feel unmotivated, distracted, and often leads us to doing, everything at last minute, and that causes more stress. And then sometimes you lose purpose. In this climate today, there's a lot of stress. I went to the store the first time, and I was telling Aaron that I was looking around, because that's what I do. I try to observe, and I take things in. And I was just looking around at everybody's faces and the demeanor, and it was like hunched down, looking down, don't make eye contact, no smiles. And you can just see the stress on people's faces. And obviously with the component of staying away, distance, you obviously people are trying to get out of your way if you're walking down the aisleway or whatever, wherever you may be. And it was just very, very, I would say, odd and just sad. Sad to see. So there's a lot of stress out there. So a way to combat some of those stress components is have some type of structure, some type of control that you feel good about, or you have control of that day, and that's going to empower you. So, of course, flexibility is important. Obviously, you want to be flexible, but structure is necessary for creating a sense of stability and balance in your life. You can, when you have structure in place, again, where you're going, what you've accomplished for that day, and again, it's something that you can control. So it's going to pull down the anxiety, it's going to pull down some of your stress, some of the stress aspects in your life, because obviously you have a plan. And then how do you build structure in your day? There's a lot of different ways. Again, this is going to be different for every person a little bit. When you talk about a creative batch or theme days, this is taking similar tasks and putting them back to back to back. So it's not a big change. When you go from, you know, a big change. So say if you're doing, you know, a reading project and then you go into a physical project, it's a big change. So if you're doing you know, some type of reading project and you go right into a writing project, obviously you batch things back to back that don't cause a huge disruption in where your mind is at and what you're focused on. Or it could be task, you know, that you're doing at home. You don't want to, you know, start cleaning the front room and then go and do something totally different. You want to try to batch everything together if you can. So hopefully that makes sense. Another one is obviously plan your week on Sunday if you have time to do that, or whatever day it looks like for you. I know that's going to be, you know, it's important, because then when you wake up, obviously Monday morning, you have you know, a set plan for that week. And then plan your day the night before as well. You can do that and reflect. I know, and I'm bad about this, sometimes when you plan or have structure in your day, you put too many things on your plate. I'm very, I want to get everything done yesterday. So you want to be aware of that. And you know, if you don't get certain things done or don't get certain things addressed, that's okay. You just move it to the next day or a couple of days later. So I'll try not to stress yourself out from that standpoint of piling too many things on your plate. So stick to an intentional morning routine. I think it's very important. I know Aaron sent that Miracle Morning component out. If you haven't watched that yet, you want to probably take a look at that. So if you have a routine, you know, a lot of times what we try to do is either work out or read and then go work out if we can. So we try to fill up our positive component in the morning. You know, so you want to try to keep that routine going, specifically now that, you know, the kids are on their homeschooling component, or if, you know, you're working from home, you want to try to keep the same routine you had when you were going to work. So if you can keep that routine in place, it's going to give you, again, a control feature that's going to help ease the mind. And then make time for self-care. It's going to be important. You want to keep your workouts going. I can't stress that enough. You know, obviously we have a bunch of people jumping on virtual, which is awesome. If you start not making the workouts, it's going to be challenging from you know, to get back into that routine. I can tell you 100 times that, you know, I've been knocked out of my routine, and trying to get back into it is always challenging, and the demand of life. Then if you don't make the workouts, you know, the stress piles up, you don't sleep as well, you don't eat as well. It's just a compounding factor. So, and obviously, you know, reflection, the other components you want to look at with self-care is meditation, breathing. You know, we always talk about breathing. We have a breathing foundational component in our warm-up, and it's because the stress aspect, the central nervous system, you need to get back out of fight or flight into rest and recovery. So think of a lot of things you can do for self-care. Then when you get into that daily structure, you know, look at having daily structure will help keep you in some type of routine, because you fall out of routine. A lot of people are out of routine right now. You need to figure out what the new routine is and set a structure around that and what that looks like for you and your family. When you have a routine, it allows you to have control of something, like I was talking about, something in your life right now. Because a lot of things we just can't control, you know, and that's okay. But we want to make sure that the things that we can't control, we have a positive focus and a positive attitude towards. So daily structure and routines can keep you on track with the positive habits, like working out or eating healthier. So if you can keep those structures in place, that's going to help manage your stress and your anxiety. Because a lot of people, I mean, I can see the anxiety. My anxiety is up as well, because you know, obviously being a small business owner and owning property, and we've got a lot of pressure on us right now and a lot of stress, because we don't know. You know, having to shut our doors for multiple months it's challenging. So I get you. I understand. You know, our anxiety and stress levels are high. I'm gonna try to jump a workout here later today and keep those workout routines going for myself. So you really want to try to keep those positive habits within your structure, and that's going to help so much. So the other thing to talk about, because we have kids at home, some of you do, some of you don't. If you don't, no worries. But structure for children is so darn important. Leo stopped, obviously daycare shut down, and it's been a little bit challenging for us to try to get him in a routine now, because he doesn't understand totally. He's getting ready to turn 4 in July, and he was in a really good routine of preschool and learning and having a lot of structure. And that's why I think he liked it so well, is they had structure. You had to line up, you had to follow the rules, you had to share, you had to learn how to communicate with other people and interact with other people from the social component. And now that's all like wiped out, and he has not been sharing with his sister, and he's been more grumpy and he's been more irritated. So Aaron and I are working behind the scenes to try to figure out, some type of structure for him, some type of daily routine where it mimics some of the school components. So we're working on that right now, because obviously it's going to help him. It's going to pull down his anxiety and stress as well. So clear structure and expectation provide limits and boundaries, obviously. It helps children not only predict how parents will react, but also teaches them how to behave. So if you don't have a structural component around it, they're going to push, the buttons and push the intensity and act out and want attention. So having some type of structure and process in place, it keeps the boundaries set. It keeps us in between the lines, or the guardrails. A lot of people say. Consistency means that we follow through with what we say we're going to do. It gives power to our words. So if you say, hey, we're going to go to bed at 7:30, we keep that in the routine. We're going to bathe on these days. We keep that in a routine. We've done a good job, and Aaron's done a really good job of keeping him on some type of routine from that standpoint. We just need to build more structure around, I think, some of the things that Leo was doing at daycare, where we have, reading time, which we read to them every night, have for, ever since they were born, both of them. We just have that in our routine. It's like the going to bed process is, hey, brush teeth, got to change. If we bathe that night, calms them down. And then we go into making sure they get the, teeth brushed, they have their water, because they always go to sleep with the water beside them. We then go into a reading process. Aaron will go with Leo, or I will go with Leo, and vice versa. I'm going to Liv. We'll pick out 3 or 4 books, and then we'll read through those books. Liv still wants to rock a little bit before she goes down. Leo doesn't, and he crawls in bed. But we have that as a routine, and we've been doing that ever since they were born. So it helps them calm down and know that they have to calm down and get ready for bed. So when we kick into this next one, obviously, structure and routine. Routine can help children understand time and time management. We've been using this with Leo as well. And again, they started this in daycare. He knows when the weekend, he always asks, what day it is and how many sleeps until the weekend, because he knows obviously mom and dad will be around more in the middle of the day in the weekend. And also, like, if we have a birthday or something, or if his grandparents are coming to visit, he will ask, well, what day is it? And I will tell him, and he may say, well, what does that mean? Or what does that look like? And we may say, well, you have 4 more sleeps until it's Saturday. So it helps him understand the time management component, because, he's understood, the morning, and we have to go to work, and then obviously the times we come home. So it gives him perspective, and it gives him, obviously, reduces his anxiety, because he understands there's some type of routine or rhythmic pattern. So obviously the routine helps children get used to having, chores and establish important habits, such as, brushing teeth, hair. Routines can strengthen relationships by focusing on time together. So again, the reading component, for us, it's a crucial time, and we enjoy that process. We need to build some other structure in there, that when we get home from work, here's what we do, or when Claire's watching the kids, here's what they do. So obviously it enables you to control some time and put certain things in place where you can build a better relationship with not only your other family members, but your kids. So think about that from that standpoint. And then how to establish structure in your day, really, you will need to spend some time developing your plan, because it's going to look different for every person. It may not always work on Sunday. Maybe it's work, Friday midday, and you plan out the next 7 days, or whatever that looks like. And you need to plan and put together a structure for what's going to work for you and your family. So try using some time on Sunday if that works. Map out the week. Use a calendar to set boundaries, because that's another thing that happens is having those guardrails up and making sure we're doing things to stay inside the guardrails, because sometimes we get way off and we're way out in left field, and we become stressed out. We stop doing our routines on a regular basis. Then 1 week goes by, 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, and then obviously you start putting weight on. You're not feeling good. You're stressed with the kids. Your anxiety and all those components are increased. So it's just a snowball effect if you want to put those guardrails up and guide yourself through the week and day. You can use technology to help, say your daily or weekly structure with technology. So there's a ton of it out there. You can use iPhone or a calendar reminder or a timer. We use the calendar aspect to set a lot of the structure with our business. So, here's what I'm working on from this time to this time. Here's where my time is already taken, maybe with a client or building a project. That way we have some structure, around that to keep us moving. You can look back and add up the wins and feel good about, what you did. Because sometimes you get so busy with your day, with kids, with food, with, workouts, or trying to make workouts, that you look back and you're all stressed out. And you're like, well, what did I do today? Well, if you had some type of structure in place where you have calendars of every, half hour of things that you accomplished, you look back over that and say, wow, I did this, this, and this, those are all wins. That's good. And pull the positive back into it. You're going to feel really good because you controlled the areas of time that you could control and got done things that you wanted to do, or spent time with your kids or family that was intentional. So again, I can go through a ton of technology, but if you need to bring technology in to help, we've used a calendar system and some other structures that remind you of what you need to do or where you need to be. So hopefully this helps. When you think of structure, it's not a negative component. It's actually a really positive and empowering component. And then in these times of not having a ton of structure, where our whole routines just blew up, we need to try to get things under control and become a little bit more diligent with a structure and a plan in our daily routines to keep us in a positive mindset, keep anxiety down, keep stress down, keep making your workouts. You'll eat better, you'll feel better, you'll have better relationships with your family and friends and kids. Because man, when you get stressed out, that all rolls down. Man, those kids are like sponges, and they'll absorb everything, and then they'll start acting out and struggling with anxiety and depression, because we obviously, if we're showing that, they understand it and they absorb that. Man, they're like sponges. So hopefully this helps. Hang in there, set some structure, keep those routines going, keep healthy habits in there, and you can get through this. So I will see you soon. We'll do another component and kick it out to you. If you have any questions or need some help, shoot us a message, email back, or post on our Facebook page. So have a great day, and I will talk with you guys soon.